It was one of those hot summer days when the air feels thick enough to chew. The flies buzz louder than gossip, and the smell of fresh-cut hay rolls through the fields. I was in the barn, stacking fertilizer bags and minding my own business when I noticed something odd. The big sliding doors were slightly open. Now, I always keep that barn locked tighter than Fort Knox. Inside were feed supplies, tools, and about 3 tons of dried cow dung. That's right, manure. I use it as organic fertilizer for the hayfields. Perfectly normal out here on the ranch. But to the untrained suburban nose, it smells like the apocalypse. I didn't think much of it until I saw footprints. Fancy little wedge-heel footprints. And that's when it hit me. Karen, HOA president, neighborhood menace, entitled in high heels. About 2 weeks prior, she'd stopped me at the mailbox. "Mr. Porter," she said, waving her manicure like a badge. "I've been receiving complaints about a chemical odor coming from your barn. It's a health violation." I laughed. "That's not chemicals, Karen. That's manure. Nature's perfume." She frowned. "You can't just store waste like that near our homes." "Our homes? Karen, you live half a mile away and inside an HOA bubble. This is private ranch land. You don't make the rules here." She huffed. "We'll see about that." And apparently she did. When I pushed open the barn door that afternoon, the sight that greeted me was pure comedy gold. There she was, Karen Holloway, standing in the middle of the barn with a group of HOA committee members, all wearing latex gloves and holding plastic tubs. They were literally scooping manure into evidence bags. I froze in the doorway. What are you doing?" Karen turned, triumphant. "We're collecting samples for the Environmental Health Department. This fertilizer smells toxic." I nearly choked trying not to laugh. "Karen, that's cow poop." She ignored me. "You can't store biohazardous waste on a residential property." I sighed. "It's fertilizer, Karen, not plutonium." Her assistant, a nervous man with a clipboard, whispered, "Ma'am, it says organic compost right on the bags." But Karen was on a mission. "I know what I smell. This is a chemical plant disguised as a ranch. Call the cops." 5 minutes later, the sheriff pulled up, lights flashing, siren blaring. The same poor guy who'd arrested her 3 months earlier for trespassing. He stepped out, took one sniff, and groaned. "Oh Lord, what now, Karen?" She marched toward him, hands on hips. "Officer, this man is manufacturing illegal materials. The stench is unbearable." He looked at me. "Jim, please tell me she's wrong." I grinned. "It's manure, Sheriff. The good OL kind. Want me to grab you a handful?" The deputies snickered. Karen's face turned red. "You can't prove that's not toxic." The sheriff motioned to a deputy. "Bring me a sample kit." He opened one of the tubs Karen had filled and took a deep whiff. His face twisted like he'd swallowed a lemon. "Yep," he said, wiping his nose. "That's cow crap." Karen's jaw dropped. That's impossible. It smells like chemicals." The deputy smirked. "That's called ammonia, ma'am. Happens when you leave manure sitting in the heat. Pretty standard for a farm. Not so standard for HOA patrols." The sheriff shook his head. "Karen, did you and your team break into this barn?" She stammered. "Well, the doors were unlocked." I raised an eyebrow. "They weren't. You forced them open. That's breaking and entering." The sheriff sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. "Ma'am, you're under investigation for trespassing and property damage." "Again," she gasped. "I was performing a community inspection on private agricultural land outside HOA jurisdiction." He pulled out his notepad. "You folks just don't learn." 2 days later, the county prosecutor called me. Apparently, Karen had filed a complaint claiming I was storing biological weapons. I nearly spit out my coffee. "Biological weapons? You mean manure?" He chuckled. "Yeah, the lab tested her samples. We got the results. 100% organic cow dung. No chemicals. No toxins. Just poop." By the following week, Karen's humiliation had gone public. The local news station ran a segment titled, HOA president mistakes fertilizer for chemical waste. Calls hazmat team. They showed drone footage of my ranch, the sheriff's report, and a picture of Karen in gloves holding a scoop of manure. It went viral within a day. The HOA board held an emergency meeting and voted to suspend her indefinitely. Her husband stopped me in town later that week. Jim, she's banned from any community inspections now. County's billing her for the cleanup crew she called. I patted his shoulder. She should have read the label first. Now, every spring when I spread fertilizer across the fields, I leave one small pile near the fence with a wooden sign that reads, Karen's special chemical sample. The smell? Still as strong as ever. The revenge? Even sweeter.